Welcome to 100 Days of Python, the Python Code Along Challenge. I'm Bill Mosley, and if you want to find the entire listing of the 100 Days of Python, you can find it at my website, www.bmosley.com/hdp. Let's get started. All right, and welcome to day 42, and today we're going to be picking up where we left off yesterday with the web data extraction. And we are pulling data from our website here, which is an event calendar for a city. And you can see it looks really nice here, but the data is very standardized, which makes it a great candidate. And so far, what we've done is we have pulled this web page, we've parsed it, and we've grabbed this information here. We've also grabbed this link for each event, and we have that in a variable now right here where we have str link for each event. So what we're going to do this time is we're actually going to follow that link and grab some more information. So when we click on that link for, let's say, the Rock Orchestra by Candlelight here, we can see we've got a date. That's useful information, as well as a start and end time, and then an overview of the event. And so that is what we're going to focus on for this time around. So we're going to follow this link for each event and then pull those pieces of information and add them to our record. So let's get going here. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to scoot this line down because that's our record separator. And the first thing we need to do is get that link and create a request object of it. So I'm going to say redetail equals request.get. And if you need this starting point code, you can grab it from my website as well. But I'm going to use strlink. I'm going to reuse my headers, which is totally fine because it's just that's just what defines our fake web browser. And then I'm going to say soup2 because I don't want to overwrite my main soup object here. So I'm going to create another BeautifulSoup object to hold the details page for this object. And I'm going to say redetail dot text, and we're going to feed that to the HTML parser. Oops, that goes in quotes, HTML dot parser, and that gives us our text. Okay, so that's great so far. And now we want to start pulling the pieces of information. Let's start with that description. And so right here, if I right click on this and choose inspect from my Chrome web browser, what you can see here is that we've got an H3 that includes that overview. That just says the word overview though. So I want all of this. So I'm going to have to go up one level, and I have div class equals text, 2 hyphens, and then the word content. And so I can do that, and that will grab everything that I want for that text content. And I'm guessing by the naming convention here that that's the only text content on that page. I could do a search through the code to make sure, but I'm just going to take that risk there. And so I'm going to copy that so I can use it in my code in just a moment. Come back to my code, and let's go ahead and create a BS description. We're going to find that. So we've got soup2.find, and that is going to be a div. And that div is going to have the text content there. And that should give us that description. Now, not all of those events are going to necessarily have a description. So before we go pulling that text content out, let's go ahead and make sure that we have that. So we'll do a little bit of error checking here, and then we'll go if BS description, basically if it exists. If it doesn't exist, this will come up null and this will be false. So if that exists, if it finds something, then let's go str description equals, and we will go BS description dot text, and I'm going to do something on the fly here to get rid of this word overview, because I think that's kind of a static part of it and we don't need it. So I'm going to go replace, and we will replace overview and a hard enter, and we'll replace that with nothing. So it'll just delete those on the fly, and that's it. But I don't want an empty variable, so if I don't have a description there, I'm just going to make that blank. That way, either way, str description is defined. I won't get a variable doesn't exist kind of error later on. So next step, let's grab this piece right here. And if we right click on that and hit inspect, there is my whole thing. It's all one string, so we're going to have to do a little bit of work to parse this, but it's not terrible because there are some standard pieces of this if you look at the different records in here. So this is what I'm going to get. All I need is H2 with a class of detail subheading. So let's grab that real quick. So we're going to say bootstrap or BeautifulSoup object of a heading equals soup2.find. You should be getting kind of used to this by now, and we're looking for an H2 tag with a class of detail subheading. That gives us the object. So we'll want to check, make sure that object exists again. So if bootstrap description or actual heading for that one, then we're going to say str heading equals bootstrap heading dot text. Okay, and we're going to do all of our parsing in here. So I'm going to hold off on the else for just a minute. So we're going to, under that heading, if it exists, we're going to do a little bit of work here to grab that. So the first thing I want to do is I want to create a list of the heading parts. So we're going to split that. And if we remember, this is our model here. So let's copy, actually let's just copy this right here, this text. Copy that, and I'm going to put that in a comment. There we go. Now I can see it, so I know what I'm parsing. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to split it here. That gives me the date and the times right there in separate. So I'm going to say li heading equals str heading dot split, and we're going to split on that vertical pipe character. If you're in doubt about which key to hit for that, you can always copy and paste it. But now that gives me two pieces. The first piece is the date, and the second piece is the time. So if I have str date equals li heading, and I'm going to get the first element, str time equals li heading, and the second piece of that, the second index, I want to strip both of those. And I need to make sure that neither one of those is empty, because it is possible that we could have not both of those there. In fact, what happens if we have this? Then I just get one element in my array. So what we want to do is we want to do some checking. Okay, so first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that our array has two pieces. Okay, so first, if the length of li heading equals 2, then all is good and we can assume that both pieces are there. That's great. Else, if it doesn't have both pieces, then we have to figure out which piece is there and which one is not. So we can say if li heading dot 0 dot strip ends with PM, or it ends with AM. If it's one of those two, then we know it's a time. Otherwise, it's a date. Probably not going to have a time but no date. More likely to have the other, but we'll just account for everything. So we're going to say if it has that at the end of it, then it's a date, or it's a time, rather. And so what we're going to do is str time equals li heading 0 index strip. Otherwise, it's a date, no pun intended. Str date equals li heading 0 index stripped. And so what we want to do is fill in the other. Date equals nothing. Str time equals nothing in that case. Okay, so that's good. Now we have both date and time. And the only other issue here is if the BS heading doesn't exist. In other words, if they don't have a date or a time there, then we need to have an else, and we'll just manufacture both of those. Date equals nothing. Str time is an empty string also. And that accounts for all the permutations that we would reasonably expect. Of course, we can always run this and get things later that tell us otherwise, but that's not too bad. So that gives us a time and a date. And so now we have the time and date, and we have the details, which is everything we wanted from that piece. And so the last thing I want to do here is I want to add each one of these events that I scrape to a dictionary, and then we'll put that dictionary into a list. So we've got our li events here, and we're going to use that to hold each event, but each event is going to be a dictionary. So what we're looking for is for each card. So that's the loop we're using. So we're coming in here, one space over, right? Lined up with that. And we're going to say di event for the dictionary. And so we'll say the title is str title, right? Because we have str title, the link, the address. So let's go with the address next. We'll save the link for maybe a little bit later. Str address. And we have the, actually we're supposed to be inside that loop. That's why these are getting highlighted in yellow. So let's tab that over one. We want to be inside this loop, not parallel to the loop. And then we want the date and the time. str date, time is str time, and then we want the link. str link, and finally the details. So we'll go details, str description. Okay, so there we go. Let's call that description actually, so we keep with our naming scheme. So we're going to, every time we have an event, it's going to pull all that information, it's going to put it into here, and then it'll print out the separate line. And I'm going to have it not print the address each time right now, and it won't print that other stuff, so that's good. And then at the very end, oops, one more thing we got to do here is we got to take that dictionary and add it to our main event. So we're going to say li events dot append di event. So we're going to add that dictionary into our list, and that enables us to do this for di single event in li events. Let's just print the whole dictionary. di single event. We'll just print that. So now we're going to go through each of the 12 things on this page. And I've got a red underline somewhere in here. Oh, just this very last line. My goodness, I forgot the parentheses in my print. There we go. So now what we'll do is run this and give it a shot and see what happens. Okay, so now you can see I went through each of the events, printing the event, and at the very end, we've got the title. Obviously, we've got a little bit of data to clean up here. We've got some binary characters in there, but we can deal with that in a minute. And we've got the address, and we've got a date and time. So looking really good there as far as that goes, except for some weird stuff going on in here. But we'll deal with that next time. So we've got all the data that we want. We do have some cleanup to do with the binary numbers in there. But there's one more thing that we want to do next time. And if we go back to our main page here, what you can see here is that this page loads 12 results. But if I scroll down to here, you can see we've got multiple pages. So I can go to page 2, and there's even more stuff here. So next time, we're going to do some data cleanup, and we're also going to learn how to follow all of the pages and get all of the records, not just the first page that we see. So that's next time, but for now, we'll call it a day. Thank you so much for watching this video and coding along with me. Once again, if you want to access the entire listing of 100 Days of Python, you can do it at my website, www.bemosley.com/HDP. You can also access my book, Introduction to Python Programming for Absolute Beginners, at my website, www.bemosley.com/book. Thanks again, and we'll see you around.